Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome back to the Krown's magical crypto cave.
All right, well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave, Elsa with the beautiful entry, and welcome back. Of course, it's what is it, a Wednesday? Yeah, early Wednesday evening over here from Chicago, Illinois. Kind of cold and quiet today, actually. Bitcoin price action more or less sideways. We spoke about for the last, I guess, 2 videos, and that's all well and good. In fact, we're going to be talking about a lot more. But before we get into it, as always, I want to be wishing you the best, the haps of the haps as well. And what other record-keeping things that I need to get out of the way first? Yes, that's right. My messages have been absolutely fucking swamped these last couple days. I really apologize for taking me a little bit of time to get back to your message. I will get back to it. Just working one by one. I promise I'm trying to do my best here. It's kind of a little bit overwhelming right now. Anyways, without further ado, let's get in live scene right now. I'm gonna initiate that teleportation, and I'll see you in the live scene, baby. Looks like my teleportation is a little bit stuck in the ethers of it all. And start off with nope, not Bitcoin on the daily. Sorry, I had to double check. And all my programs are on sale for not the rest of the week, but until Monday. It's my birthday sale. Just had my birthday on Monday, so quite excited about that. And I'm doing 20% off on all my programs with the code OLD in all capitals, 20. That's old 20, essentially, if you know how to speak English, which sometimes I'm not so quite sure that I do. And I want to quickly just run them down. The technical analysis, I have 3 programs. The first one, the technical analysis program, probably the most applicable to people in general, but it goes without saying, before ever considering any one of these programs, take advantage of my free content first. Make sure that it's a good fit, read the reviews, all that good stuff. Anyways, if you do happen to be one of the people that this is relevant to, the technical analysis program is the kind of like the starters area, so to speak. It goes over not just technical analysis, but also risk and position management, understanding underlying market dynamics, and then, of course, access into the members' Discord community, plus access to 2 proprietary indicators. That is the all-encompassing program, essentially, that most people start off with, and that is usually most applicable to most people because it's kind of like a start to finish, essentially. The options program is similar to the technical analysis program, except it's just solely focused on the derivative products options, right? And both those programs are 35 hours plus long each. Both of them 35 hours each. So the big thing for me is that if you are considering these things, make sure that you have enough time to invest into it, because as with anything, that is worth doing in this life, the amount of what you get out of it is going to be equal to what you put into it. And so having the actual time set aside to really dive into it, I would say is where you're going to make the most bang for buck over there. Anyways, I'm not here to be your dad, of course, just my concerns with someone, getting into it, of course. The Joule indicators, a little bit more instant gratification, as you can see right here. And that tool is one of my proprietary indicators, and this is just access to all my proprietary indicators, of which, again, a little bit more instant gratification, is certainly not a 35-hour plus long program, just like a few, not just a few, actually about I think 8 videos now on how to use the indicators themselves. But for the most part, that is just focused on just indicators. That's it, nothing else. Anyways, without further ado, let's get into the Bitcoin price action right now. My God, man, always embarrassing talking about that. Let's get onto it, right it over here. Actually, first things first, start off with some proof of trade right now. As I have been building up a position here. I'm pretty much locked away though, so I have locked in this profit. Actually, I've locked in this profit as of the tick to, I think, 10,700 region. That's when I started selling calls against this. So I actually won't take these positions off here. I want to hold the spot underline, just because, for now, I think it's fine to do. And what I've done is I've closed them using call options, essentially selling the 10,000 and 10,500 strike call options against my positions here, and that allows me to keep the spot underlying position as as long as I like what I see. I'll keep that, and I can use those calls to take profit each and every week is typically my strategy right now. Anyways, go kind of match it up with price action right now. As you can see right over here on the Bitcoin daily, or the 24 hour as I typically have it right now, we got 1 hour and 14 minutes and 37 seconds left to go until the daily will close. And as of right now, we have a long-legged doji dodo as it stands. This is obviously not accounting for the fact that, well, quite literally, we haven't seen the close just yet. But depending upon how this closes, and assuming that it closes something like this long-legged doji dodo, the next trade for myself is actually quite simple. And whenever we get one of these doji dodos, it's typically the same sort of, especially on a higher time frame, it's typically the same sort of diagnosis, I suppose. And on the following one, coming into tomorrow, whether we take out the high or the low side of this guy, I'll basically go on the same side. If we take out the low of this guy at 10,380.5, I would be looking for this to come back down all the way to the red 10 simple or the cyan 89 exponential moving average, which was going to be down around 9,900 to about 10,000-ish region, which, by the way, on CMEs, you will notice, or you probably notice this, that they do have a nice gap in price action right here from this 10,100-ish region, which, keep in mind that CMEs have about $100 premium on price action, so that would equate to Bitcoin back down around the $10,000 region. If Bitcoin does get back down around that region, that is the danger zone, so to speak. But just as likely, because we are working on a long-legged doji dodo, if we do take out the top side of this baby at 10,833, this would be on GDAX. Let's go check what it got to on Stamp. It was 10,834. Okay, so pretty damn close. As you know, if we can actually take out the top side of this, I would actually be looking for the next leg to take us into the lower 11,000s. 11,300 to 11,500 becomes my next sort of target from a medium time frame perspective. So realistically, all that we're looking at right now on the lower time frames is kind of just, is kind of just sideways essentially. And I would say that sideways here actually does benefit the bulls more. What you want to see if you are bullish right now is you want to see Bitcoin go sideways as the lower time frame oscillators kind of cool off. You probably notice that the 4-hour Stokes and all time frames lower than that are way up there right now, and in the RSI it's pretty much the same thing. In fact, the hourly and 2-hour looks like they want to cross back down again, so there is a little bit of pressure down here, and we do see again RSI oscillators kind of coming off the same sort of high as well. In fact, a little bit of potential bearish divergence in the making here on the 4-hour, although not confirmed just yet. We need to confirm this as a local high, which we have not done just yet. Actually, if we trade below the low of this 4-hour dildo after it closes, then perhaps we could actually consider that just regular bearish divergence, and I'd be looking for another move back down to 10,350, which that would actually take out the low side of the day, and that's going to have carry on over into tomorrow's dildo, which at that point I'd kind of initiate a target back down to 10,900 on spot, wherever that level correlates with CMEs at 10,100. But like I said, by the same token, as long as Bitcoin kind of holds this area, which is also just demonstrated by the white 200 simple moving average on the 4-hour dildo time frame, I would say that's what's more obviously going to happen is we're going to have these babies cross the upside, which let me just get them on right now. And what we're looking at 3 moving averages, but the one that I want to pay attention to the two that I want to pay attention to are both the green 50 exponential moving average and the purple 200 exponential moving average right here. As long as Bitcoin remains above the white 200 simple, we will see these guys cross the upside. And in a general upwards market, this has been a pretty phenomenal historical results for the upside to follow. Now, of course, we do have a little bit of a painful fake out for myself. You probably remember if you were around this channel for the last month. Yeah, I think this was in early August. I was looking for the same sort of thing to kind of happen over here. We did get a nice move, to be fair, but it was not the move that I was looking for overall. Anyways, if we were to get the golden cross riding over here, I actually would see that as likely an impetus for breaking this whole formation to the upside. But keep in mind that the formation itself is still very much the same as we've been looking at for the past 2.5 months. Nothing's changed there. I know that's it's like the anti-YouTuber title. It's like Bitcoin breaking out to 15,000 today? Question mark, exclamation point, or Bitcoin breaking down to 6,000 today? Question mark, exclamation point. No, Bitcoin's mostly sideways for the past 2.5 months, and that's what we've been saying on this channel. Whether you're bullish or bearish, the most likely thing right now is sideways until about middle of September, of which we are rapidly approaching. In fact, in about a week to a week and a half, I would say that it's pretty damn likely that we do have resolution on this formation as a whole. As it stands right now, there is pressure on it, of course, because we are in one massive descending triangle. And if you look at this right and over here, you do see, let me actually put on my drawing tools. You do see that, yes, we are certainly operating in a descending triangle, which is a more statistically likely pattern to break to the downside if that were to happen. Which would first include a breakage of 9,500 to the downside on at least a daily closing basis. Perhaps you could use a 12-hour, maybe a 4-hour as well, but really want to be conservative because there's been so many muddy territories in this region where it just fails to break down. But if that were to happen, then technically this does have a measure move all the way down to about 66 to 6,700 right here. I do believe that there would be bounces along the way. In fact, I'm not necessarily calling a target down there. I would treat each and every one of these bounces actually as a potential reversal point. So first and foremost, we'd be looking at about 8,900. Then we got the 200 exponential moving average right here at about 8,500. Also, gap boys getting filled from early June on CMEs. Then we have the 200 simple down around here, and I think the 377 exponential moving average comes around this region as well in these mid 7,000s, like 7,500. And then yes, if that one fails, then I'd be looking for the full measure move to be hit all the way down to about 6,700. So as long as Bitcoin's within this formation, that is always going to be a potential and a possibility. But just because this is ascending triangle doesn't mean it's always going to break out to the downside. I've seen every fucking pattern break out every possible way. And, when we are talking about a macro uptrend, I would say that the probabilities of it breaking to the downside do diminish a little bit here. Regardless of the fact, the way that I trade it is the same as a trader, not as speaking now specifically as a trader, not as an analyst. If we break this to the downside, yeah, I'm short, and I'm short in not just stature but also in position. And if we break this to the upside, actually, I would be a little bit careful here. Yes, you do see that it does match up with a nice fib. We got the 0.5 meeting up with this descending resistance trend line right here, marking off our top side resistance. We see the 382 actually marking off our bottom side support. But for me, if we actually do break out to the upside, this is something that everyone's kind of looking at right now. So I would be a little bit on edge if we did break above this region, because until we actually start closing dailies above this last little high right here on the in early August at around 12.1, 12.2, it's still a little bit left of center. I'd still rather err on the side of caution with this one. So even if we do break above this region, I'd still just take it one step at a time. I'd look for as soon as about 11.5 gets taken out to the upside, I'd be looking for another move to test 12,000, but we need to close above 12,100-ish area on a daily closing basis. Then I'd be happy to, talk about measure moves to the upside, which at that point I'd be targeting a move towards about 14,500. And realistically, I don't think that things would really stop there. I think that you just see a short consolidation, then plow its way upwards and onwards. The thing is that if Bitcoin does break to the upside, that's when you can get one of those magical Bitcoin moves, just because, at the end of the day, man, looking at the volume profile, you do rapidly see that this whole area dissipates right here extremely nastily. I actually see Bitcoin selling off right now, so happy that I am covered on that position, so don't really have to worry about any of this, unless we actually go down below like 10.4, then then I'll have to take action once again, but that's okay. Anyways, with regards to this, if we actually do break above that next like 12,000 region and close a weekly above there, there's really nothing stopping from Bitcoin. I mean, we can have these areas right here at like 16,000. I think we have another one right here at about 14,500. We already spoke about that, but realistically, there's really not much in this region right here in comparison to what we dealt with at the 8,000 level, at the 6,000 level, and more importantly at the 3,000, 4,000 level right on over here. If you remember, if you were around during these times, you likely remember Bitcoin just moving at a fucking snail's pace. It was boring as fuck as a trader. So again, man, at the end of the day, that is kind of the sombering effects of if we did break up to the upside. Yes, we could come up with targets, but just generally be bullish. Anyways, so going back onto the lower time frames, I didn't really flesh out this idea too much, but let's talk about this a little bit more. Putting back on the drawing tools, we're kind of stuck in this order block territory right here. Depending upon how you kind of chart this one out, I suppose you could lower it a little bit if you want to be like super conservative with it, just basically between this horizontal level at about 10.4, we'll call it, and in the 200 simple moving average on the 4-hour digital time frame, which I've lined up with this horizontal right here, marking off this this blue box territory. If Bitcoin does start to close even 2-hour diddles below it, or even just take out the low of today's daily, either one is acceptable, then yes, I'd be looking for this next move to come somewhere back down into this region right here between about 9,900 and 10,000-ish region. And then probably have a little bit of a bounce there, and then the games begin. If we actually do want to break down through there, that's when this really starts to look a lot more bearish. I mean, if Bitcoin gets stifled right here, then then what's this? Just another lower high. As I reach for my water, because I'm damn thirsty right now. Just 1 second. Alrighty, there we go. Good for another 1,000 miles. Man, my throat's feeling a lot better too, so that's awesome. So yeah, anyways, taking that off right there. For the time being, as long as Bitcoin doesn't break below this region, just kind of going sideways, which, like I said, sideways is actually more likely to be interpreted as good for the bulls here. If we break down, that's going to be the actual issue. So this area right here, again, the critical area for me, or a daily diddle, or a daily diddle, not even closing, just trading below today's current low, assuming that we close something like this, like a long-legged doji dildo. Either one of those two, and I'd be looking for the downside. On the other side of the hand, I would say that I'd be looking for a little bit of sideways, as our lower time frame oscillators cool off, and then another try back up towards this 10.8, 10.9 resistance right here. If that can get closed above, even just closing a 4-hour dildo in this region right here, about 10.8, 8.5, 10.9 region, then I'd be looking for a test up to about 11.3, 11.5 region, somewhere in this region right here. So that's kind of what's at stake now from the lower time frames. I would imagine that if the bullish scenario is going to play out, it takes a little bit of time. If the bearish bearish scenario is going to play out, probably takes place tomorrow if it's going to happen. So we actually do have a little bit of opportunity here, but make no mistake, resolution on the whole formation is still pretty far away. It's either, we either need to trade down below here, or for me, really trade back above here and have closers on higher time frames above there. The thing is that the higher time frames, I think, are painting more or less a decent picture right now. So I do err a little bit on the side of kind of expecting like some sideways and maybe a little bit of up. Looking at the daily right here, we do see daily Stokes still very much painfully erect to the upside. The daily Stokes coming in and crossing to the upside in this posturing in the overall upwards trend that we've been looking at for the past 6-7 months has produced some pretty damn good moves. The last time that we saw a cross from this region was 29th of July, so that was out of this $9,500 base right here, leading up for about a $2,000 move to the upside at a little bit north of 12,000. The time before that was lining up with this guy right here on the 9th of June. That was leading us out of this $8,000 base all the way up to 14,000 bucks. Just a few weeks later, pretty damn good move. The time before that was this base right here at around 5,200, leading up for this next run towards, do you want to say it's 9,000 or do you want to say it's 14,000? You get the idea. Generally good behavior. We do see Daly Rsi not really telling us too much. I mean, to me, this is just consolidation. What it looks like to me is we're doing something like this, right? Or actually, it would look like we actually broken it, but I don't think that the daily is one to be looking at. In fact, you do see that I already have some in there, and that's pertaining to the 3-day. But as it stands right now, daily RSI, not really. I mean, it's just consolidation is what we're looking at. Historical volatility percentile still having that nice orderly drop off, and you see that kind of continue today. So this was a one-off that we saw yesterday. It was not followed through, and that tells me that we're still in the process of tying the whole formation up. Which, again, we've been saying this for a long time. I know it's not like a sexy thing to say, but it's the fucking truth, is what it comes down to, man. We're still going to be sitting on our asses probably for another week. Keep in mind that not only is the middle of September just lining up with the whole triangular, the apex on this triangle, when this becomes extremely likely to break, it also lines up with an economic event of which Bitcoin has had some movements on with the past, and that's the Fed meeting for U.S. markets. So I would imagine that we probably do see some movement based upon that. Also, just structurally speaking, lines up with it as well. And by that time, in the next week, we should see this historical volatility percentile be pretty much so fucking flat that the only place it has to go to is up, really. I mean, shit, it's designed to expand, of course. Anyways, this is kind of mirrored by the 2-day, right? The 2-day having a fresh cross the upside yesterday, and it's technically not confirmed right now, but I would say that as long as Bitcoin maintains this 10.5 region, you likely will see follow through based upon that. So this is what the bulls are looking at right now. Not only that, but 2-day RSI, we do see getting back above the exponential, regaining the neutral zone, rejecting the bearish control zone, more importantly, and what does this look like? It looks like a falling pizza, but I think that the falling pizza looks a little bit more appetizing on the 3-day, which I'll show you right here. If we put on the drawing tools, you can see that we've actually already broken it up to the upside. What I want to see on this next tick is maintain the exponential, and then I'd really be looking for it to march back up on into the around the bullish control zone at the very least before the next sort of major pullback on a 3-day time scale, which would likely align with us testing again that 11.3 to 11.5 region right here. But that condition needs to be met. We're still kind of in limbo right now, and I think that just the easiest way to trade this one, again, just going back on over here to the daily, on tomorrow's daily doodle, which we're going to get in 1 hour and 1 minute now, as you can see right here. Then if we trade, if we take out the bottom side of today's daily doodle to the downside, just tick below it at 10,380 on BitMEXCO, then I'll be looking for the next move to come down to like 10,900. If we trade to the upside of it, then I'll basically looking for that move to 11.3-ish region, we'll call it. No sort of time frame on that. Just those conditions need to be met. Anyways, let me put back on all my major movement averages as well. We have something else to talk about right here. There we go. Okay, beautiful. And you can see that Bitcoin on the daily above all major movement averages. Bitcoin on the 12-hour above all major movement averages. Bitcoin on the 2-day above all major movement averages. Bitcoin on the 3-day above all major movement averages. That makes it very difficult for me to be bearish on this. Anytime that I see an asset above all major movement averages on higher time frames, that's more or less good. And more importantly here, you do see that all these, these lower periods on the higher time frames, they're all coming in around the same place. We see the 3-day 10 simple and 21 coming in around 10.3 and 10.4 respectively. We see the 2-day 21 coming in right around 10.350, kind of like the low of today, actually grabbing the low very accurately. And we see the daily showing both the green 50 and the yellow 21 kind of in this region as well. So the way that I look at it is basically that is now a pivot on the market. And if we do break it to the downside, pressure's on once again. I would call a target of 99 to 10,000. And at that point in time, this does really, if we go back down there, while I do think that you get a bounce on the lower time frames in that region, I do think that likely we'd probably come down and test the ultimate support, and that puts Bitcoin in the danger zone once again, and I'd probably start to really turn bearish at that point, actually. So again, I'd really want to see it broken as a trader, but for now, that's kind of what's at stake here for the downside. Anyways, I want to talk about this a little bit more while we are here. Let's go over to the monthly. The monthly, obviously, we just got a new month because it quite literally just ticked September the other day. So I'm going to show a couple new things today. First and foremost, though, I want to talk about the regular monthly. We do see the red 10 simple rapidly approaching the yellow 21. As long as Bitcoin holds this level, as long as Bitcoin doesn't break even like last month's low, or especially July's low, as long as we don't do any of that, this is going to really start to shape up as a more healthy consolidation. If we do see these two guys cross the upside, I would be expecting more price action in a trending motion to the upside, similar to what we saw right here in 2014, 2015, coming out of this bear market cycle. Red 10 symbol crosses above the yellow 21, and the next 3 years just straight up. And before that, I mean, we really don't have too much price action history, but you can see that generally speaking, when the 10 is above the 21, we are in an uptrend. When they're converging on each other, or when they're the other way around, then generally in a downtrend, of course. So you know that intuitively, right? Like a lower period on a moving average versus a higher period. If the lower period's above, good. Lower period's below, bad. Anyways, looking at our momentum oscillators, monthly Stokes, looking good to me. Back into almost testing the bullish control zone, by the way. Getting up there once again, kind of similar to what we saw during December 2015 here, coming out of the last bear market. And same thing with the RSI, coming up and testing the, hey, motherfucker. Whoops. And you do see the RSI testing in the bullish control zone for the first time in a very long time, similar to what you saw on over here in 2016, right? The first pass gets rejected, just as we saw right on over here, but it gets picked up by the exponential and then marched up for, basically this whole move, right? From about $500 to $20,000, gain of about 3,500%. Not bad at all. And that rejection actually produced a retracement of about 38%. That sounds oddly familiar, and we're getting a very similar signature on the RSI here. This retracement thus far has been about 34.5%. 34.5%. So this is very much in line with what Bitcoin likes to do historically speaking. And I would say that if we see this RSI test back into the bullish control zone, I would likely look for it to really make way into it, and that's going to align with price action well following through. Of course, we can bring up the net delta indicator. Let's bring this baby up right here, and I just want to show that yes, it has remained in a positive slope. I only care about slope on this one, and if just back testing this one blindly, when we got a positive slope in 2015 August, that was when the bullish momentum began right here, and we didn't get a negative slope really until, we did have a few one-offs, but we never had it sustained where we had 2 consecutive months back to back doing it. We only had one-offs. Over here was our first consecutive, and that was in March 2018. So basically right here it remained negative all the way till the ultimate low of 3,100. So pretty damn good right there. And I would say that because it still has a positive slope, even though it is a little bit lessened in its slope, still overall fine. So I would actually be leaning a little bit to the upside here. But again, levels come first. As a trader, I only respect that. My opinion does not matter, and I hope to just leave it at that, really. Anyways, what I want to show new right now is actually something that very rarely gets talked about, or rarely spoken about, or whatever the fuck. Anyways, we're going to look at a 2-month dildo time frame, which is right here. And what do we see on this? Well, we actually see, and by the way, we just got a new 2-month dildo right here for September, so it's fresh. It's a fresh one. It's all well and good. As long as we don't trade below the last month's low, which is 90.50 on stamp, to me, this looks like a consolidation at resistance, and even waking up to our prior dildo body high right here. And actually, I do want to check this out. What are the Trollinger bands looking like? Yeah, look at this. It looks like, yes, we're having some profit taking off the top of the Trollinger bands, but that's okay. That's to be expected. If we actually start to push it once again on the next move to 13,500, this is likely to actually push it to the upside, which would be massively bullish to me. Like trending to the upside, like beginning a trend, actually. Again, I'm not trying to be all some fucking, clickbaity right there, but I'm not even include that in the fucking title, but you get what I'm saying. Anyways, 2-month Stokes having a fresh cross the upside, very, very nice as well. In fact, could you consider this point and this point, well, no, you can't. Anyways, just the conversation's already over before it even began. 2-month RSI, not really telling us anything unique. Actually, not all that useful. You could maybe say that we had bullish divergence on the last lows of the past market cycles from here and here. I think that's kind of stretching a little bit, but that's what like the Hopium bulls would tell you. I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. And of course, this is just just encouraged more on the quarterly chart right here, the 3-month chart, which we have a fresh stoke cross the upside in the making, perhaps, but we still got to survive another month of not breaking down from this level essentially. And then yes, we could actually confirm that and also get the the RSI above the exponential along the way as well. So as long as Bitcoin just doesn't break down, essentially, the next 6 months, look pretty good. But that means that Bitcoin has to survive this month without breaking down. And imagine that we probably get resolution on that coming into the middle of this month. Okay, cool. So we spoke about all of that. We spoke about the lower time frames. Okay, good. Let's go look at expected. Wait, nope, not just yet. Not for my owners only. No, just kidding. Expected moves chart. This is concerning right here. We see the first standard deviation start to converge on each other, right? And that's what you get typically when you're in a consolidation where things can actually change direction. You usually get this signature before you actually change direction. Similar to what you saw right here. Similar to what you saw kind of right here, right here. Where else is a good example? I think those are the best ones right there. Anyways, this is now kind of like ball in the bull's court to pick it up from here. Again, if we even just trade outside the first standard deviation to the downside, I don't think that actually, I do think that we're going to stop at this one because that's 10,000 actually. Well, I think that we'd have a short-term bounce there and then get continuation over the next day, maybe back down to like 99, 98. But for right now, this is a little bit concerning right here. They are kind of squeezing, and we filled out this range actually perfectly for the day. So that's quite nice. Anyways, all you had to do is just blindly play this one and money. Assuming that you do it right. Anyways, so yes, this would be a little more neutral, saying sideways or actually down. So actually not so good. Again, like I said, the best thing for the bulls right now is to go sideways. Well, within reason, of course. I mean, of course, the best thing for the bulls to go up, but you get what I'm saying. The most likely scenario if they are going to remain in control. Let's go check out the crypto fear ingredient index. We are ticking out of 43 right now, so we really didn't get too much of a lift off from yesterday's festivities. There wasn't too much of a response in this, which is kind of interesting to see. Like I said, you'd expect this indicator to be a lot more sensitive to the fearful zones in an overall macro uptrend, which we've been in for the past 7 months. Than a bear trend essentially, and this thing's actually been getting a little bit more comfortable in the fearful zone for a long time now. If this is correlated with price action, which we do see it as, I mean, this is exactly what this is suggesting down here. This is your correlation coefficient actually massively losing it right there, but that's not really fair to do it on a daily. We need like a weekly. Weekly is negative as well. All right, interesting. Maybe we got some new to look at here. Maybe we got some new to look at. Maybe it is losing the correlation. Maybe it doesn't work anymore. Fair enough. Anyways, you'd expect it to act in a contra way, right? Where if we're still fearful on these areas right here, it likely aligns with price action going up if they're going to be correlated as well. This doesn't really have too much more to go. Not only that, but it actually looks to me like if you're looking at this from a Trollinger Band perspective, we're kind of actually pushing this first area right there, which typically does happen before trending moves as well. Anyways, this again is all second nature to the price action right now. Going back into the actual charts. Whoops, this is not the chart that I want to be looking at. Let's go maybe to a lower time frame. There we go. At the end of the day, volume still contracting, volatility still contracting, still consolidating. Let's go check out CME, see what they're doing right now. They did close for the day, so they did close actually as a little bit of a, and I shudder for someone to misinterpret this, a hangman dildo right there. If we actually do trade below the low of this one at 10,470, same sort of logic applies to what I was speaking on spot charts just there, and I'd be looking for a move back down here towards 10.1 on CMEs, which have about a $100 premium on spot prices. So again, it's a ticking time bomb. If we do trade above the high of this guy, then yes, I would be looking for this to pop back up to 10.3, 10.4. But for right now, this typically is actually a reversal dildo, to be fair. What do we see on daily Stokes? They look fine. They look healthy. What do we see on daily RSI? Looks like sideways consolidation, which we actually do have a nice, I guess I already have it in there. We have a nice falling piece on this one, breaking the upside as well. A little bit more of a bullish marking, but if we do take out yesterday's low, I suppose, I'd be looking for that move down. I'd be looking for a bounce here, yes, but I think that the bounce doesn't get faded or not, it's a real question, and that's That's when things get a little more scary. Anyways, I haven't really checked the weekly on this one. What did we see on the weekly? Weekly just traded all the way up to the red 10 simple. So far rejected by, but that's okay. I actually like the structure here overall. You're really starting to see Bitcoin perhaps shape up as some sort of ascending triangle. Perhaps it's not there just yet. We need another touch on the top side back around 12,000. But if we could get that, then yes, it would actually start to shape up as such, and that would look okay. But again, we do not have that in the charts just yet. If Bitcoin could just close above last week's high, close above it, the wick high at 10,730 on CME. So this will start to look actually pretty good, poised for a move into the 12,000 region once again, or high 11,000, I should say. Okay, cool. What else we got? We looked at that, showed trades. I guess it's time to look at Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance right here. What do we see? Still bullish on this one. I'd imagine most alts are not looking too good against Satoshis versus US dollar. I haven't checked yet, but doesn't necessarily suggest the same thing. We did have a measure move off this. The first one was pointed towards 73. We hit that one, and then the next one was pointed towards 73.5, and we're actually almost there. We're at 73 spot 2 right now. So this is, or sorry, no, this would be more. Hold on, let me redo this one. Yeah, let's try it as it is. This would suggest around 74.25. So yes, it actually starts a lot more, but that's a more aggressive one. The more conservative one that I already showed has been hit essentially. So I am less confident in this one to get hit. But what I can say is that the higher time frames I'm bullish on regardless of it. It's just the lower time frames look a little bit, not a little bit. They look extended to me. So I don't know how much more high we can go without playing out like a legitimate retracement. But the monthly, you can still got some space in there. And the monthly does look to me like it wants to take a test towards that region, which would be about 75%. So I'd imagine that most altcoins going to be looking pretty bad against Satoshis. And let's go check out Cardano. Where is he? Pick on him one more time. No, say it ain't so. Cardano, I will not go. No, just kidding. It's just dumb things to be saying. Do we have new lows for the, well, not new lows for the years, but we do have new lows for the week. Not looking too healthy right there, but this one, I mean, a lot of these alts are getting so beat up to the downside now. It's like, yes, the Bitcoin dominance chart's still bullish. This is a terrible chart. This is ugly as fuck. But it's like, man, it wouldn't take too much to get one of these things to just, have a relief rally, just get the divergence spots on the wrong side. But weekly just looks like we put in another lower high right here and getting ready again. Does not look good to me. But let's go check out some of the top shit coins versus US dollar and see how they're doing. And we see, where's Mr. Buteau right here? Yeah, 174 spot 86. What's he doing? Weekly doesn't look so hot. Daily doesn't look so hot. Fucking hell, man. I mean, he actually just got rejected from the top side of this potential falling pizza. Now, if we could break above 184, we'll call it, close the daily above there, I'd be technically we have a measure move all the way to 260, although I would say first and foremost 205 would be my first target. Then we could talk about 235, and then, yeah, 260, maybe even 275 up here. But right now, it looks like it's getting rejected. I mean, it looks kind of like it wants to go back down to this 169 base. It does not look good. Does not look good. Not a fan of what I'm seeing right here. Momentum oscillators are Daly Stokes pointed up, to be fair, but it probably doesn't take too much to get them up right now. Daily RSI, pretty bad actually. Daily historical volatility percentile, this thing's set to explode, so hopefully you really don't want to see this volatility explode to the downside. Now I will say this: the daily jewel is going to be setting up for a buy signal. The question is, did we just see it, or are we yet to see it, and now it's just that we have a little bit more down? I'm not so sure. This is not a perfect signal. This is not a perfect signal. This is a perfect signal right here. This is a pretty damn good one. This was literally right on the ultimate low of Mr. Buteau. That's what it looks like. So this is not perfect, but it's interesting. It's interesting enough. But the question is, does it curl back around for a perfect? As of which time, well, I think that would be a little more obvious. I'd say that this one's less obvious right now. Below all major moving averages. Death cross on the daily, pretty fucking bad, man. Not a fan. Mrs. Litecoin, what's she doing? $67. What are we doing over here? Kind of the same thing as Mr. Buteau. Just had a fresh death cross right here on the daily. Daily Stokes are technically up. Daily RSI, bearish as fuck, ugly. Daily Jewel, what are we seeing here? Actually, this is a soft buy signal right here. Actually, it's actually not so bad of one, but that could have already played out. We played that out on $64 low. We traded up to $71. How much percent is that? That is 12.25% in a few days. Not fucking bad. but typically you will get more on those on like a daily jewel buy signal. So again, I think it's really going to be up to Bitcoin. Whichever direction that Bitcoin chooses here, you're going to see the alts, follow essentially. If Bitcoin chooses the downside, you'll see Mrs. Litecoin back at 63.5, $64. Mr. Bureau back down as his lows. I think it was like 169 maybe, something like that. What else do we want to look at? Maybe really quick, we can look at GBTC. GBTC, actually pretty good close on the day, to be fair. Above all major movement averages, actually I kind of like that. Daily Stokes turning up. If I was just looking at GBTC, I would like it. What about, what else do we want to look at? Maybe gold for a second. I think this would be the last one. Gold looks to me like it wants to take a full-on leg up towards the blue box territory. I think that this run's pretty extended right now. I would not expect too much more from it. Maybe it spends some time grinding this area out. Maybe it gets a little bit higher towards 1600. Just gets the psychological number. You never know how crazy people get during those more like during those areas that everyone's kind of looking at. But I do think that this thing's going to, trade a little bit down and sideways and consolidate for a while after we kind of hit that region. So again, I don't know how much more we have on this run right now. We are building up some pretty nasty divergences along the way. Anyways, what else do we want to check out? I think that's it. I think it's time to get back on to Bitcoin, and I'll leave you off with this. As far as the daily is concerned, if we close the daily like this, assuming that we do close it like this, which we got 43 minutes left to go as a long-legged doji low, if we trade below the low of today at 10,380.5, I'd be looking for a price action back down to 10,000, maybe 9,900 on a spot. If we trade above the high of today, or just even go sideways, I'd kind of look at that as a more positive thing for the bulls. If we trade above the high of today, that would be a pretty obvious breakout. 10,879 on Mexico. I'd be looking for a move to 11,300, 11,500 maybe. Lower time frames, if you want to do it like this, it's more sloppy. I don't think it's, I think it's just kind of hard to get it right now. You do see that the 200 simple on the 4 hour is acting as our most preliminary support. So I would keep my eyes on that. But again, I really would pay attention to the low of today. I don't think it's a huge deal if we break this again to the downside. We can still kind of catch hold of this area right here. It's when we actually take out the low side of today when it becomes a problem for me. And again, if that happens down around here to the upside, probably a grind. Again, all of the lower time frame oscillators are pretty much trading are pretty much like way up there right now. We got 3 hour, 2 hour, 1 hour. Sorry, that's your 2 hour. And of course, RSI, pretty much the same thing. So for me, mostly going to be sideways here. As long as bulls can hold this area right here, kind of, I suppose, like a little bit optimistic if you had to put a word on it. Anyways, I'm going to leave it right there. I want to wish you a nice and healthy and restful and perhaps even profitable, or mostly sideways, probably sideways, Wednesday. Take care and see you soon.